Yeah.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
All right, super. Well, my name is Vince Solis. I'm the president of WNC. I'm so glad that you guys are all here for this town hall meeting. This is going to be an interactive discussion. I would ask if everybody can mute their mics until they speak. That way we can kind of have a good flowing meeting. Gabby, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Hello, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Gabby Clark, and I am ASWN, Associated Student of Western Nevada College's Student Government Body President, and I'm really excited to be here today to talk with you guys.
Very good. So, folks, what we're going to do is, first and foremost, like I said, I wanted to welcome everyone to this town hall meeting. I'm sure that there are lots of different questions. We've been fielding questions from students throughout the weeks as we have transitioned to this remote environment due to the COVID circumstances. But we do want this to be an interactive meeting with questions from the students so we can provide any feedback or any guidance that we can. Along with myself and Gabby, we have all of our executive officers with us, along with the foundation. I think we've got business, financial aid, student services, student life, instruction, legal. So all of the folks from campus that are decision makers are here to help facilitate any questions that you may have. I also want to thank the students for being patient with us as we have transitioned almost overnight from a face-to-face environment, which many of you were very comfortable in, and to all of a sudden going to 100% remote in pretty much every instructional unit that we have. So it has not been an easy transition nor an easy lift, but thanks to the work of our faculty, our staff, our team members, and our students, we've been able to make this happen. So those are my intro comments. I'll turn it over to Gabby for a few minutes in terms of any feedback she may have for the students. Gabby?
Well, Vince, you know, ASWN is here for you guys, and it's been quite a transition. And so I am really grateful to have this opportunity to have students have a platform to ask any questions. We really want to be transparent with you and answer any concerns that you might have. And I know that this has been a crazy time, but we're here for you, and we're just here to support you.
So there's been lots of different questions. One of the individuals that is with us today is Ms. Jamie McNinch, who handles all of our marketings and communication. She's been fielding the questions, and the way this format is going to work is we're going to answer the questions that have been coming in, and then we'll open it up to any other questions that the students may have. So Jamie, can you please start off with the first question?
Sure, Vince. This first question is, what are our plans for summer and fall?
That's a great question. So really important to the students. Dr. Dalby from instruction is with us as well. So I'll kind of just preface the conversation, then turn it over to him for the details. But essentially what we are looking at is that we are going to be going for remote instruction, similar to what's happening now for the summer. And we are hopeful that we will be back for the fall, but we are still working through a lot of different things. We don't know how long the social distancing guidelines would be in place. We suspect that they'll be in place for a while, but we are planning for all possible scenarios, ranging from coming back to campus business as usual or continuing in a remote setting. So Dr. Dalby, I don't know if you want to share any more detailed information about the plans for instruction.
No, and we can field one-on-one questions after too, but just I appreciate all the students embracing the online format. It depends on which program you're in, because if you're in a liberal arts program, political science, sociology, something along those lines, it was a little bit an easier lift for your instructors. If you're a nursing and allied health student, EMS, EMT, you're probably still taking classes. And if you're biology, taking a biology class, you're wondering how you're going to do labs. If you're welding, you're wondering about that. So this semester is still a little bit undetermined. Summer, we were thinking we might be able to do some of the hands-on late in the term if we do have an all clear, but that is still pending. And like the president said, the fall is still up in the air, but summer will primarily be online, mostly online, just to be able to keep people going throughout in their programs best we can. And when we say online, actually, I'll correct that, start using the language remote, because we could be doing classes like we're doing now at regular scheduled times, or a hybrid that's maybe meeting once a week, like on Zoom, and the rest in Canvas, however it fits your schedule.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Delpy. Jamie, second question.
Yeah, this is a follow-up that Kyle might be able to talk
Jamie,
through.
we have a question from Ms. Gabby Clark. I'm sorry, Gabby?
Oh, I was wondering if Jamie, you wanted me to ask the next question regarding faculty, correct?
Yeah, I was gonna, because we were talking about fall and what happens next, and Kyle was talking, I was wondering if he'd maybe like to address the pass-fail or satisfactory, unsatisfactory decisions that were made recently to help students who might be concerned about how they finish up this semester.
Right, so I can speak to that. And then Jamie, if you haven't, I know you're going to send out a formal communication to students. We've sent it out to faculty, so it'll be trickling through. So the system has given each institution flexibility on the satisfactory, unsatisfactory process. And what it means for you this spring semester is your faculty member for each class will go in and give you a grade. And then after that grade is posted, you have the option to fill out a quick form and determine if you would like it to be a satisfactory or unsatisfactory. And the way that works on the grading level is if you score a D- or better, that's satisfactory. So obviously if you did really well and got the A you wanted to get, you don't want to go and change it to an S. If you didn't quite score where you wanted to, and because of the disruption of the semester, then you can have the option to have it show up on your transcript as a satisfactory, unsatisfactory. There's several caveats with that, and so I can talk through them a little bit, but when you do that, please spread the word to your fellow students. Check with financial aid, check with anything that might affect your academic progress, because, and JW is on the line, but if you don't want to throw yourself into a tailspin because your program requires you to have a letter grade and you didn't necessarily, you changed it to an S and didn't work through that. But again, that'll be after it's posted. You have until right about the end of May. I think it's the 26th or the 28th. So there's a window there after the semester is over to do that. You do not need to do that now.
So for the students, the discussion, what this details is the option for students to get a satisfactory or unsatisfactory grade listed in their transcript versus a letter grade. There are some options available to students given these circumstances, but as Dr. Dalpy mentioned, I strongly encourage every single student before they request a U or an S in their transcript to please go visit with a counselor or one of our advisors, because it could have ramifications for scholarships and or some of the other programs that you are in. So it's an option that's available, but we encourage all students to please make sure they make informed decisions before taking that option. So we wanted to make sure that we made the students aware of that. Jamie, you want to go into the next question?
Sure. Kyle, do you want to interject some comments about students that might need computer access, computers as we move through this?
If I can mention that so we don't forget it at the end. I know a lot of you too, you're all here today, so obviously you figured out a way to get a feed going. But if you need support at all for one reason or another, and I know we've been doing this for a month or 3 weeks anyway with spring break, we're going to post a link within the Canvas portal, which you should all be going to. That's a student kind of technology need form where you can write up, I need something. And then we're going to look at pushing students to either financial aid office for possible scholarships, or we do have, through the work of our foundation, some loaner Chromebooks and laptops that we can loan out if people qualify. So I know there's all kinds of stories out there. I don't necessarily hear from students as directly as I would be if I were walking down the hall, but Gabby or any of the crew here, if you hear somebody, the stories I'm hearing are people don't have printers and they may need to print something. Some classes require printing, or 2 people in a household sharing a computer have to take a test at the same time. It'd be really convenient to have another computer. So that kind of stuff, you know, we have limited, but we are able to help. So that'll be in the Canvas portal, probably going into next week. You'll see a statement there and you can fill out the quick form. So, and if you want to grab that or write something up, Gabby, or I can give you something to send out to students, that'd be good, because, you know, again, if we have, you know, 100 computers we can loan out and we have 150 requests, then we'll go after looking for 50 more computers.
Are there any feedback from the student in terms of access to computers or PCs? Very good. Jamie, next question or topic?
Yeah, as long as we're talking about classes and instruction, Gabby, you have a question about faculty evaluations. Do you want to go ahead and ask that question?
Yeah. So this is a question that I've had over the course of a couple days. It's been brewing, and then what my question is that I've heard that students appreciate how our faculty has been able to transition to Canvas during this tumultuous time. And I wanted to know what the expectation for using Canvas is moving forward for in-person and online classes.
So
So
I can take
go
that,
ahead,
or-
Kyle. Yeah,
So
go ahead.
the expectation for students or faculty or both? Class use?
I was looking specifically with faculty. Canvas has been an extremely helpful and useful tool for our students. And it's also been a tool that's kind of gathered us all together and has made us be a part of this sense of community, and as well as, not having to go through any type of hassle through any other outlet. So I was thinking about faculty.
So what we're doing going into the fall, and it was something, a lot of things we're doing now, including the Zoom classroom, we've been talking about. We've been using Zoom for years for meetings and that sort of thing. So a lot of it's in motion, which is good. One of the things we've talked about since I came in last summer, and I think the conversation predates me, was that every class, every section would have a Canvas presence of some sort. And we're moving forward to that even more so in the fall. It's not a real hard mandate where I'm going to go around checking everyone, but I am going to look and I am going to check everyone and say, can you please have a Canvas shell for this class? As a matter of fact, the Canvas shell will be automatic. It's what goes into that Canvas shell that's the big piece of it. So if it's a 100% online class, Canvas will be the place for the class. If it's a Zoom class or a hybrid Zoom online, Canvas will be used for the piece that's online plus the Zoom. But I'm trying to get every faculty right now to use Canvas as at least, if nothing else, a discussion point, email point, and repository for information. So if any of the students on here right now were to say, hey, Kyle, where can I get a syllabus for my class? I could go to Canvas and I could say, there it is right there, and email it. And that's what I want every student to be able to do. So we're working into that. The big lift is going to be with the part-timers, because our part-time adjunct pool is varied. A lot of people, a lot of new people, they come in and out and may not have the skills. We are ramping up some training for that, but the expectation is going to be that every class section has a Canvas presence of some sort, however that looks. If it's an on-site class, it would be at least for the regular class information.
The other piece, Gabby, that's really important to this is one of the things that's really essential to us as we're making decision is the student feedback part. So in your evaluations or in feedback that you want to provide your instructors, instructors are like anybody else. Anything that you send them in terms of an accolade or a praise for the work that they're doing is always really helpful. The instructors really like hearing from students. That can be very helpful. The other piece is letting us know what has worked and what hasn't worked, because we anticipate that this, as I mentioned, will go through the fall, but potentially into the summer and potentially into the fall. So we want to make sure that we're delivering things that are receptive to the students and putting up good courses. So if it's working, let us know. If it's not, let us know. That way we can adjust the game plan as we move into the next semesters.
That's actually a really key point, because a lot of times we hear what's not working and we are 100% committed to get on top of things that aren't working. But if you have one class where one instructor is doing something that is absolutely off the charts, awesome, we want to take that piece and move it to every other class that's related, so that we can scale up everything and make it a great experience.
Absolutely. Next theme, Jamie?
Sure, Vince. What's going to happen with commencement as we think about students finishing up this semester and graduating?
So great question. I know commencement is the most important day of the year for all of us on campus, students, faculty, and staff. It's the reason why we do our work, so we know how important it is. We have sent out student surveys to our student graduating class so we can kind of get a sense for what students would like to see. Obviously, the number one thing that students would like to have is an in-person graduation. We totally get that. We have a couple of plans for you guys. So one is that we are planning to have the commencement for the May class on August the 21st of this coming year of 2020. The challenge is that we don't know how long the social distancing guidelines will be in place. So we've got the facility, we've got the things in place to have it August the 21st. It's a couple of weeks before the fall session starts, but whether we are able to have it, we still don't know. A lot depends on the guidelines that are going to come from the state, on social distancing. So unfortunately, our world has changed in a matter of weeks, and we want to do our best to do right by our students and have that very special opportunity for them to graduate, but we are weighing all options. So we have a plan to have an in-person commencement August the 21st. It's on a Friday. It would be at 10 a.m. in the morning, but that plan could change. We will be sending out a notice to students and to faculty and staff in the next couple of days, informing them of this item. But again, keep in mind that it could change very rapidly depending on what's happening in the space. If we can do it, we will. And if we have to do it at a different time because of the safety and well-being of our students and our faculty and staff, we'll adjust the calendar as needed. Gabby.
So earlier you guys thank you for answering the question about commencement. But earlier you brought up the faculty evaluations as we were talking about Canvas and like the transition, you know, for all faculty to be able to access and use Canvas as an outlet. But I had a question in regards to faculty evaluations. This has been a really crazy time as far as the quick transitions and the quick turnarounds to training and switching to online. And I personally have a professor that has gone above and beyond with her job, and she initially was an in-person class, and she has done an amazing work. And so I just wanted to know what the faculty evaluations does when you submit something as a student, or say for example it's a class of 25 and all 25 students submitted an evaluation for commending or giving input to their faculty, to their professor.
Well, Gabby, I think that the feedback from students is critical. We've got several faculty members that are in the space right now. You know, we've all taught, so always, you know, hearing from our students in terms of how we can make our classes better is very important to us. I think that it's also at this kind of time, Gabby, it is so important for students to let their teachers know when they've done a really good job. That means a lot. That's kind of like the Red Bull drink that they take, you know, and keeps them going, moving further. It reinvigorates us when we hear from our students that things are working. But at the same time, as I mentioned, if there are common themes, we have a meeting with the Faculty Senate at 1:30 today. And one of the things that I'm going to be mentioning to them is if there are common themes that we are seeing on the faculty side, if they're identifying common themes that we need to adjust, we'll definitely take a look at that, because we will only know if there are issues if we're hearing it from our students and you guys are letting us know what's working and what's not working. We want to deliver the best classes that we can, but we need to hear from you about what you guys think are working and what isn't.
So if I could add to that too, I think the piece of your question is it's cyclical. Every class has an evaluation that you do. That all that information goes in. It's available to the director and to me. So there's 3 academic directors that oversee all the faculty. That goes into a feedback loop where, like Dr. Solis says, we can pick up on trends if something's not working. If something is working, you know, we try to fix anything that's an issue. We try to scale up anything that's a complement. And everything we do going forward with data analysis is always, from this point on, going to have that caveat of spring 20 is the COVID semester, unfortunately. So we're all going to look at that. So if there's some anomaly, we might say, okay, good, bad, ugly, whatever it is, it's likely tied to that we had to all go online. Having said that, if you have a rock star professor you want to really give a shout out to, don't hesitate shooting me an email.
Next theme, Jamie?
Yeah, we've heard a lot about stimulus funding from our federal government. So what is the CARE Act about and how will it help our students?
So I'll give you some general information, and I believe JW is on the call. JW is the Director of Financial Aid, along with Jeff Downs, who is the Chief Enrollment Officer. So part of what this is doing for us is providing stimulus across the board for us to be able to address and mitigate issues as a campus. So for example, there are some metrics that are used to determine how much money the campus receives as part of that CARE stimulus. So for us, we received $1.35 roughly $1 million. Half of that funding has to be distributed to students So we keep half to mitigate any shortfalls that we have on our end, and the students get to keep half as well. There's a lot of leeway in determining how those funds are dispersed to students. So with that said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to JW, who's the Director of Financial Aid. He has been working on the propositions that have been brought forth to the executive group. A lot of great ideas about how to get this money to the hands of students quickly. Now, I will say this. You will probably hear different things throughout the system schools at ENCHI. The approach that the WNC administrative team took was, let's get this money into the hands of students as quickly as we can because everybody's hurting right now. We would love to hear some student feedback on that approach, but with that said, I'll turn it over to JW so he can talk a little bit about the stimulus funding for students.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Dr. Solis. So WNC is going to receive approximately $681,000 as part of the CARES Act to get out to students through emergency grants. What we're in the process of doing right now is we've submitted to the federal government to receive those funds so we can then pass those along to students. We are waiting for some guidance from the Department of Ed on certain holdups on who may or may not be eligible. And hopefully we can have those questions answered by next week so we can move forward. So there's still a few unknowns, but our goal is to try to impact as many students as possible and help students where they need it. So we don't really have specifics yet on the actual day of disbursement. We have to wait for the funds to get to us. As of today, none of the schools in the U.S. have received their funds, so we're all kind of sitting and waiting for those funds to come down the pipe. I am curious if there's any student feedback on ideas that they think might help us in our decision making and setting our policy to get these monies out. So if you have any, feel free to share now, or you can always email me with different ideas.
So Gabby, as the student body president, one of the discussion points on this is the question of whether we disperse all the funds in the spring semester and get the funds into the hands of the students immediately, as soon as we get it, or whether we hold some of that money back into the fall semester. Lots can change between here and then. Like I said, the discussions with the executive group was that in the same way that folks need their stimulus checks and funds that are coming in, students need that as well. So our tentative plan is to distribute to students as soon as we get it, but we are open to hearing from students. So with that, Gabby, any feedback on that discussion point?
Well, Vince, I would really love to talk with my team about this. But as far as if I could touch on anything, I would say now is better. At the latest, it could be late summer. I really want to collaborate with my team on that. And as far as how students get their funding, I also want to look into, how they paid for tuition in the first place, and if that was like a direct deposit or if that was through any other type of payment option or payment plan. And so we can discuss that. And also I can get a poll for how students have paid for college and the different outlets for receiving the CARES.
Very good. Okay, so JW, I would ask you and Jeff to coordinate with Gabby and her folks and Heather, and just connect with Ms. Dodge as well, so that you guys all have a discussion with the students. I think that the sooner we have these determinations, the better, because one thing that I wouldn't want to do is sit on that funding too long. I'm sure we would get a ton of questions from students who are expecting a little bit of relief that comes in with that funding.
And our ASWN meeting is on Tuesdays at 2:30, and that is a public meeting. And so any of you are welcome to come. I would love for any of you to be guests. That's where we would be doing our discussions for this kind of topic, and I'll make sure it's an information.
Very good.
Great. Thank you, Gabby. Yes, there are just a few stipulations around the funds, but the institution does have significant flexibility on how to get those funds out to students. So whatever we can do to help as many students as possible.
Very good. Jamie, other themes?
Sure, just a little bit of housekeeping for you guys. I'm not sure if you're using the chat feature while we were in the meeting today, but you can see a couple of bits of information from Kyle about what CARES stands for. It stands for Corona Virus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. He has a little bit of trivia over there in the chat feature. And then also the email for JW, so how you can connect with JW if you want to give feedback on the care pieces.
I'm going to drop in his cell phone next. No, I'm just kidding.
Gabby, you were talking a little bit about your ASWN meeting coming up. So maybe this is a good time to talk about what's next for ASWN, elections, and things like that.
Absolutely, Jamie. Yeah. So when it comes to our elections, anyone who is interested in representing WNC and making a difference throughout our Wildcat community has the opportunity to go onto our webpage, which has actually been modified. Thanks to Heather Riccolo. Just want to shout out. She's been working really hard on our WNC website for making sure that there's a specific spot for student government. And then within that little tab or bubble, I wish I could share my screen, you can go into the elections packet and fill that out if you are interested in making a difference. And ASWN and student government is basically, if we're looking for individuals who are wanting to make a difference on campus, and anyone who feels passionate about advocating for students and advocating for the people within their community and coming together, basically. So yeah, if you're interested. And then as far as our election process goes, that's kind of still up for discussion. We really want to highlight for those individuals that are continuing on at ASWN, we really are wanting to get on the ball as far as training goes this summer, but we're also open to any and all individuals who are wanting to make a change. And I know that during this time, sometimes it sparks something within somebody to want to do something better and do something bigger for themselves, if that makes sense. So we're kind of still going through the election process, but other than that, we've just about got a game plan going on. So.
And Gabby, I wanted to thank you and all the students in ASWN for the work that you guys are doing. We appreciate the leadership. We definitely need your voice on these important student items. So as you know, everybody in this chat or this discussion on this Zoom meeting, as it relates to the executive officers and to anybody on campus, we have open door policies to you. So feel free to contact us at any time with any information that we can provide or any questions you may have, or if you just want to drop in and have a Zoom meeting and just catch up with the latest at the campus. We're always available for our students, and we're glad that you have all selected WNC as the institution of your choice. So we will continue to strive to make sure you guys have a great educational experience, and we look forward to continue to working with you guys until you graduate. And as much as we like having you on campus, we want to see you move on to other things. So graduation is goal number one, okay?
Well, thank you. We'll do what we can.
Absolutely. Jamie, were there any other topics before we open up to the students?
The last topic, and I think we've probably already belabored it a little bit, but there was a question about, will we be able to get back on campus this semester? And we know that instruction will continue online through the end of the semester, but will any actions on campus happen between now and the end of spring?
Yeah, as soon as we know, the campus will know. Right now, we're following the guidelines from the system and the state. Those are moving targets. We hear different things in the modeling in terms of when Nevada will peak with COVID. So we are watching that and keeping up to date with that on a daily basis. I myself am part of the NSHE COVID task force. There's a couple of presidents on that. We meet every Tuesday at noon, and we get the latest updates. We send those out to the campus. So the other thing that we've done is we have created a leadership and strategy task force to help us manage, all of this change that is going on campus during COVID. That group meets every Friday at 9 a.m. So if there's any topics that are important to the students that you would want us to hone in on, please let us know. Your feedback, as I've mentioned, is critical to all of us. So we look forward to having you guys on campus. It's not the same without our students and our faculty and staff there. When I'm up there, there's like a couple of cars from campus police and some of our other team members, but it's super lonely without you guys up there. So we look forward to the day where we can have all of our students and faculty and staff back on campus. So with that said, we will open up to any other questions that the group may have.
I have a question.
Okay, is that Desiree?
It is. Hi.
I recognize your voice.
Well, that could be good. If they change it to where counties can open up or start opening up based on the number of COVID cases they have, are we going to wait and open up all of the campuses together, or are we going to be able to open up individual campuses if it's allowed in that county?
That's a great question, Gabby. We are playing that by ear. If there's an opportunity to open up the campus, yeah, we will do that. I think that we have such a large service area that we're going to have to identify area by area and strategy needed in each of those components. But yeah, there's an opportunity, for example, in your case, the Fallon campus to come back first. Absolutely. You know, we want to provide the experience that our students are accustomed to in terms of small classes, personalized service, all the things that make us great. So yeah, the sooner we can do it, the better, Desiree. That's a great question. Any other questions from the students?
So
Gabby.
I had a question. Student outreach is our #1 concern, as well as our, you know, it's also it's something that we're excited about, but it's also one of our most challenging points. So I just wanted to ask if there, you know, if there's anything or if there's any way that we can reach out to students as much as possible. And I know that we're currently trying to find those resources now, but I wonder if you have any other additional resources that we can use to reach out to students.
So Jeff, do you want to take some of that question with all the things you guys are doing to maintain communication with students?
So the counseling office is reaching out to students. They're still meeting up with students on a regular basis, taking appointments and serving their needs as needed, and referring them if there's resources they need and trying to get to those resources. For example, if there's need for a laptop, we can get them in contact with either financial aid or Kyle's group, or actually it's Ryan's group with laptops. In general, I mean, and JW's group is also reaching out to students, continuing with appointments. So a lot of that contact has still been going on despite our remote setting. So are there other needs that they're talking about?
So is there any, yes, you answered my question, but I also wanted to ask if there's any way that ASWN can help out with student research. For example, like you just sent out a survey with regards to commencement, and you reach out specifically to students that are graduating. I wonder if there's any way that we can do a survey or a data analysis to gather information based on students who don't have a printer but have a laptop but don't have a printer, anything like that. And then we as ASWN right now, I believe that we can, we are in a position where we can take on that responsibility, and we also really want to contribute to the student outreach too. So if there's anything that, you know, you can, any load of responsibility you can put on us, that's.
Yeah, if you have a way to reach out, I don't want to just put a blanket email out there, hey, who wants a printer and who wants a laptop?
We're doing that, Jeff, with your phone number.
Well, so I mean, it'd be nice to, if there is a need out there, let's do it. Let's find a way to reach out to them. I do have the SurveyMonkey account, so if we want to do a survey to any particular segment of the population that we can figure out for their email addresses, let's do it. That'd be great. I mean, I want to do another one. Piper, Deb, and I are putting together an email to contact students about how are things going with their online classes and what can we improve? How are things going in student services? How can we improve in this environment? So yeah, I mean, I appreciate any efforts that you guys can put forward to try to help us identify students who have needs that we are not able to, that haven't been met yet. I mean, we're doing our best to meet students' needs. So
unknown.
If you have a way to do that, that'd be great.
So I'll chime in real quick. Gabby, you can help us push people to the form that we created. It's not live yet. I'll share it with you. And that's a form that collects that information, and it's name, email, NCHI ID, and then what the need is. We don't actually go into check boxes with laptop, computer, this sort of thing, but because we do have some resources we could deploy getting the word out. I think it's going to be fairly obvious because it's going to sit right at the Canvas portal. It'll be one of those announcement boxes. But once we do that, now the flip side is then we have been looking for people to help reach out to students and find out what their needs are. So if they say, I don't have a computer. Okay, well, could they be proficient with a laptop, or could they use a Chromebook? We have both, that kind of stuff. So at some point, maybe a group that could call and reach out to students would be helpful. The other thing too, I pinged you on the chat to ask, is it, if you're talking about engagement activities, I didn't know if the student government was doing things with students that would be like this forum, but maybe it's like a hat party or some kind of engagement kind of fun thing. Because when I start talking to students one-on-one or even faculty, it's like, oh my gosh, you're still out there. Everyone got locked down. So there's the social piece of it. So if you need help, with ideas for that, let us know. I mean, there's only so much we can do, but we could set up a Zoom room. We can get you the license that allows you to have up to 500 people so people don't get locked out and that kind of stuff. And then maybe there's an engagement activity you can do with student government. I'm sure other people around the country are doing it. You probably know that better than I do.
Yeah, we are using social media and working through and basically programming different options through our social media accounts as well. So that's something that we're looking forward to using when it comes to student outreach as well. So if there's anything that you needed to publicize as far as the campus goes, you have us and social media and like student life as an outlet as well. So
Kyle, can you get that link to Gabby? Do you have access to that link?
Well, I'm in the background right now working on the language, because everything that has a feel for it has to have language that makes sense. Please fill out this form. So we'll have it live probably over the weekend.
Okay.
And Jamie, I'm going to jump ahead of you here on this. I do see the chat question that came up about, because I was actually going to make a joke off to the side here of trying to lighten things up a little bit and say, does anyone have old workout clothes in their locker on campus? And
I do.
and so the question came up about retrieving items off campus in offices and lockers. And I would say, Vince, I don't know where we send people, but if there's a need to get something, I mean, didn't really even think about that. If somebody had something like medication or that kind of thing they needed to get, who would they contact? Should we have them contact us?
Yeah, absolutely. They can send us an email. They can contact. We'll connect with campus police to make those arrangements.
Okay.
The item for us is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If it's needed right away, like medicine or anything like that, absolutely. The challenge for us is we want to make sure that as soon as someone comes to campus, we disinfect the entire area, clean it down, make sure that it's safe before somebody gets there and after somebody leaves. So we want to make sure that that is just something that we do to take all the precautions that we can to ensure the safety of everyone. The challenge is that if we have a lot of people coming to campus at the different times, we've only got so much of a cleaning crew to help make that happen, but we can definitely make arrangement if something is absolutely needed.
And I would say right now it's the absolute needed, and then as we get closer into the summer, then we'll probably have a little bit more flexibility going into June. Just guessing.
So for the group, I did get a text question that came in on my cell phone. That is from Regent Geddes. Gabby, he would like to know if you're named after his hometown of Gabbs, Nevada. That's from Regent Geddes. So he said, make sure we ask her that. He also sends his best regards and wishes everyone the very best. But Regent Geddes is keeping track of what we do on social media, and he wanted to make sure students know that they're all very proud of everything you guys have done. So Gabby, is that where the name comes from?
It actually comes from the angel Gabriel, which
oh, very good.
Is quite ironic because my parents are not that religious, but.
Well, he sends his regards, Gabby. So is there anything else from the students? Michael, Addison, anything else on your ends? Donnie, anything that we would like to cover before we close the meeting out? Very good.
I actually had a quick question, Vince.
Yeah.
Before, as ASWN, we what was discussed in our previous meeting was the different phases and the budget cuts that are going to be happening throughout our campus.
Yeah.
And I believe that for phase 4, that's going to be ultimately when students are going to be charged a surcharge fee. So could you touch on a little bit about that, please?
Great question, Gabby. I'm so glad that you didn't let the meeting close without covering that. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Dodge, who has some updates on that. There's actually a rank order of that, Gabby. That's at the very end. But Darla, do you want to cover a little bit about the updates on that issue?
Sure. The GFO, Governor's Finance Office, yesterday asked for a prioritized list of what we submitted, which was discussed last Friday at the special board meeting. And the list basically identified all of the items that we put forward, which was the 4% for FY20, the 6%, 10%, and 14% for FY21. Remember, those are still considered proposals or what we have put forward. Nothing has been decided yet. And so what was asked from the GFO was, if we were to prioritize, what would it be? And so FY20 was listed as the first priority. And then for FY21, it was still considered the 6%, the 10%, and the 14%. Furloughs were, for the professional staff, were at the bottom of each percentage at 10 and 14. And the very last priority, which would be our very last request to be utilized, would be that student surcharge.
So basically what that translates to, Gabby, is that it is part of our recommendations, but it would be all the way down at the bottom. And if it went to that level, we would request that. But at this point, what the state has requested is, what are our priorities in terms of helping fill the gaps in our budget? The one that you just mentioned, which would be a $3 per credit surcharge on students, would be at the very end of that. In other words, worst case scenario, that would kick in.
Be the very last item we would ask to use.
Good question, Gabby. Any other questions from the students for the purposes of this? I have one more question, Gabby, for you guys, if you don't have anything else for me. Gabby, how often does ASWA want to have these meetings? Is this something that you want to do weekly, every other week? When we are open to your schedules, what would be good for you guys in terms of keeping the communication flowing with our students?
I'd really like to have feedback from my team about this, so I don't want to speak for anybody. But you know, in our meeting on Tuesday, I can also ask that question and get back to you guys. I'm assuming it could be an every other week thing, but maybe we can change it as weeks progress, because I know that our
the other item, Gabby, just to think about something to mull over, we can meet with you guys in this format anytime that you want. If you want to do that every 2 weeks, that I'm okay with that. The other thing is, we can pop into your Tuesday meetings, but we don't want to take up too much of your time there. So we are open to whatever works best for student government.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right, folks. Anything else from the group? Then if not, thank you so much. Stay focused on your studies. I know that this is a kind of crazy time for everyone, but I know that you can all do this. Make sure, Gabby, and with ASWN, as you guys are messaging, to let students know that if they need something that we can help with, we are here to do just that, whether it's a computer, someone to talk to, or just questions that they may have about the summer or fall. We are available for discussions. Like I said, we want to make sure that we are connected to our students in every way that we can during this period.
Perfect. So quick question for Darla, though. The surcharge is going to be for all NSHE schools, correct?
Yes.
Not just us. Okay.
And the surcharge is different based on the size of institution, but for community colleges, it's the $3.
Perfect. Okay. That's all.
It goes 3, 5, and 8, I believe, Gabby. And for us, it would be at the lowest rate.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, folks. Well, thank you so much for everything. Again, stay focused. You guys can do this. And I look forward to working with you for the rest of the semester and then into the summer and into the fall. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.